Hey guys, it's Jeff the Mission Rojas here. I'm with my co-host The Speech,
How's it going, guys?
and today we have our first guest on our little podcast. Um, his name is Alicio Flores, and the topic for tonight will be the life of a single father. Now, there is a lot of aspects and areas that I want to touch up on, but just to lightly start it off, what I'm curious to know is your first kid. What was your thought? You know, this is your first kid. When you first
Yeah,
saw him come into this world, him or her, I apologize.
her
Her,
ago, but yeah.
the girl, okay. When you first saw her, man, what were your thoughts like? What did you think? Like, holy crap, dude, you made this. You created a life.
Okay, so when my daughter was born, I was completely speechless. We're doing all the weighing the baby's weight and everything, and then like the nurse like you could talk to her, you could say something to her, and my mind was completely blank. All I kept thinking like, what are the first words that I'm gonna tell my daughter? These words I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. No, and these are the first words I'm ever gonna speak to my first kid. And I couldn't say anything. The nurse like, come on, you know you're allowed to kiss him. Go touch him. So I'm taking a holding her hand, helping her hold her head up. And they're like, don't you want to say something? I'm like, I couldn't say. I was speechless. I was filled with the amount of joy becoming a father, and I couldn't say anything. And then when we finally went back with the mother in the hospital room, I still couldn't say anything. I was stunned with the amount of joy I had. And then finally, the first words that came out were reference to video games. I'm like, all right, Abigail, just so you know, all right, dragon spawns every 6 minutes. All right, so you gotta make sure you pick that up, okay? You gotta make sure the buffs get because you gotta get those buffs because you want to be ahead, okay? And like you gotta learn CS skill, you gotta know how to no scope, and all this game reference, and that's not something I'm never gonna forget. So
Wow,
that's
that's interesting. As a,
yeah.
as a gamer yourself, the one of the first things you told your kid was how to pretty much how to beast it when it comes to ranked
Oh,
matches.
oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah,
What do you
and
think,
when you
Speech? What's your
first
thought?
when you first held her, when the very first time you were given the baby, what exactly was running through your mind, other than being speechless? And what are the first words you're gonna say? What was the future looking like as you held her? And as I hold her, the one thing I was scared about was her growing up because I don't want guys around my daughter. So I'm like, I'm overprotective. And even though she was just born, like I was still overprotective. Like the mother, Julie, my ex, she wanted to hold our daughter, and I was being super selfish. I wasn't gonna let her hold my daughter. I kept my daughter in my arms instead of giving it to the mother.
Selfish with his child. Wow, harsh. It's like she went through the pain, man, and you enjoy the pleasure of holding your child.
Yeah, like I've been waiting to become a dad for years. Like even in high school, because scenarios happen, and like my father was never there for me, and I always wanted to have a kid so I could have that bond that I never had with my father with my kid, and then I was blessed with my first child, and I enjoyed every second of it, every second of it.
So, in a sense, that's something I can relate to. Without my father being in the picture, you know, I felt that I was robbed of that relationship, especially being a male. I feel that I didn't have that father-son relationship. But do you feel it is fair to your child and truly fair to you to still hold on to that past and live vicariously through your children? I mean, it's a good thing. Granted, I congratulate you for being in your kid's life. Man, that's very respectable. But does it? I mean, obviously, to some degree, it affects you to to try and be that father, so to speak, that you never had. But do you feel like sometimes that takes over a little more than you simply just trying to be a father? Do you feel like you have something to prove as a single father?
Good question. I this is something my dad told me. My dad once told me me and my dad aren't in good terms, and he's this is what he said that you're being a bad son, and I'm just playing my video games and going to school still. This is when I was in high school. You're a bad son, and being a bad son means you're gonna be a bad father when you get older. And
Ouch.
that's what he said to me, and that probably is what affects me still, and what makes me want to be a better father than something I never had. And quick insertion.
How old are you? Tell our guests, tell our viewers, how old are you?
I'm currently 23, turning 24 next month.
So he's our age,
Wow.
guys. He's somebody that can relate to when we were growing up and how we were growing up, and especially our viewers from Vegas and you know where we were growing up. So
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of correlation. If you're not a parent yourself, but if you're a youngster with your own kind of struggle, try to put yourself in this man's shoes. I mean, like I said, I went to high school with the man. He's 23, a month away from 24, with a kid. And what I'm trying to tie into this is pretty much how does that affect your social life? Obviously, to some degree, you have to cut back on yourself a little because, to my understanding, I mean, I don't have any kids yet, but to my understanding, when you bring a child into this world, and I've heard it many times, maybe worded differently, but basically, your life no longer is about you; it becomes about that kid. So how do you balance that? Do you have means of finding you time, or I mean,
Oh,
obviously, the kid's the first priority, but
oh yeah, definitely. My kids are always first priority. Like ever since my daughter was born, she was always a priority. Then my son was born, another priority. My kids have always came first before anything. And and when it comes to me time, I don't have daddy time to myself. It comes to my kids first, and anything else second. But my kids are always gonna come first. And as a social life, I'm mostly a gamer, so I don't really go out as much. But of course, if I want to go out, I am a single dad, so the mother does have time with the kids. I have the kids 4 days, she has them three, her choice, and I win because I love my kids, so I get them more time. But basically, when it comes to me time, is when the kids are dead asleep at night. That's my me time. And my me time is just playing video games while they're right behind me, sleeping very cozy. Yeah.
okay.
and does it ever stress you out that you're just kind of almost bombarded, for lack of better terms, with this great sense of pride for the ability to put somebody else first? Especially because, we're in our mid 20s. This is supposed to be, quote unquote, the time where we're supposed to be expressing ourselves and
Partying.
finding. And it kind of feels like you've already found yourself.
Yeah, like it's something I've always wanted to be, even when I was younger, to be a father. And not just having kids, that doesn't change much. Like I'm very grateful for being a dad, but I still feel like I could still be myself. But myself is my kids. I am what they are to me. Like without my kids, I am not myself. So now that they're part of my life, they are my life in a way.
I like that.
I
I like
like
that.
that. I like that. But okay, I wanna kind of ask a question that ties in a little more,
But,
ties in a little into that social part, of balancing the two.
mm,
To put simply, how's your love life, man?
love life. Oh jeez.
Uh-huh.
Love life is very, very difficult because I definitely was never that guy that goes out to parties, takes a pics, or I've only been to a bar like 3 times and I'm 23. Like I'm not even that big of a
Wow.
bar guy either. Like when it comes to drinking, I barely drink. Like I barely ever drink. Don't quote me on that because it's tired of do what I do. But right now I'm not seeing anyone technically, and I mean if there was a girl that could come in my life, then a girl would come in. But of course, they would have to. She would have to understand that my kids are always going to come before her, because obviously my ex fiance didn't believe that because she ended up, leaving me for some other random and just leaving me with the kids. Like that was her choice, and I'm actually grateful for it because I'm way happier without her, and I get to see my kids as much as I want.
And
Until
this
she,
kind of ties into my next question.
okay.
It's does it almost scare you, or how do you feel knowing that this other person now has to realize that it's not just winning you over, but it's winning you and your kids over, and proving to you that she's able to do so?
The way I see it as what she needs to do is be completely okay with me. And when she is completely okay with me and my scenario, then she would eventually gain my trust for her to meet my kids. Because I don't want random women coming into my life and meeting my kids That's just wrong and something that definitely I don't want that in my philosophy. Girls coming in and leaving, no way, Jose. So if I meet a girl and she's perfect in every single way I want her, then they could come meet my kids and we'll go from there. But until then, she will be just a friend, maybe girlfriend, but my kids will not be in that picture until I'm very comfortable with it.
Right, right, right. You know what? I actually had an interesting question. Given the fact that you said what you just said, not necessarily flipping the tables here entirely,
So,
but kind of matching scenarios. How would you feel about dating a female or speaking with a female that has a child or two?
I mean, to be honest, I don't think that would scare me because in my scenario, it, I believe it would be kind of hard for me just to meet a woman and be like, oh, I think you're very beautiful. You want to go on a date? And then she finds out I have kids and like, oh, I don't want kids right now. And that ends it. And I don't see that as fair as just to myself. And why would I take the same opportunity to do that to another woman too? Like if she has kids, why would that give me less interest on her just because she has kids and is a single mother? People need to be seen for who they are, not what the label.
Okay. Speech. What's your
So,
thought? What's your thought on that speech?
so this is kind of. I mean, I've dated both, chicks without kids and chicks with kids, and definitely been around kids enough, and been around chicks enough to kind of base where I would think, and it would definitely be an issue. Not that she has kids, but depending on kind of how old the kids are, are the kids going to get along? Like, let's say this is a long-term relationship, and your kids, both your kids meet, and you guys are all vibing, and they get older and they don't like each other. What happens then?
That's a very difficult question. I've actually never thought of it that far ahead. But this, I don't even know how to answer that. Like, let's see. If the
These are tough questions we want to know.
I know, it's like
This
it's
is
a
heartbreaking
serious
stuff,
question,
people.
a hardcore question. Let's see. If I was with a woman and everything was going long term wise, and then they met the kids and the kids didn't like each other, how would that go? I
Yeah,
mean,
like initially don't like each other. Let's say the kid is 5 or 6 years old while you have a baby, and everything's cool at that point, and you guys get married, and everything's beautiful, and everything is going that way, and then your kid is no longer a baby; he's now in school, and doing his little kid things as children like to do. And the other kid's kind of older and is kind of getting annoyed and kind of doing different things, kind of like me and my little brother were. Um, and just that almost sibling animosity comes in, but they're not really siblings, you know?
hmm I mean,
How would you handle the situation at least?
I would hope that the children would be friendly enough to each other to be able to be civil with one another. I mean, when it came to me and my brothers, we argued and fought all the time. We even fist fought several times, and I just felt like that's just the way brothers and sisters are. They just argue.
But see, that's kind of one of that's what states that the strength of the bond, because I have best friends who I've gotten into it with fist fights, but I'll take a bullet for those cocksuckers any day. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, though. It's just it's like they say, when you have two best friends or so-called friends, if they don't fight, that's when there's a problem. So I think a little sibling rivalry might be a little healthy, but I understand what you're saying, though. To keep it civil, even if it's like, you know what, I might despise my stepbrother, but we live on the same damn roof, so why stress over it?
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna, trip over him or seek his attention or approval. I'm gonna do me.
I guess I'm more interested in kind of what you and this future Miss Wright, what would you guys kind of do to almost levy the situation?
What would we do to make it easy to see fire on the battlefield? That's quite difficult. Well, of course, we would obviously intervene in the argument, try to find out what's going on. Both sides are always going to be different, who's right and who's wrong, and then it would have to go from there. But as to right now, I don't know because I don't know.
Now, what you do, you make both of these children gamers, and it's a 1v1 on plus Modern Warfare 2. Go.
my daughter's gonna win, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie. She's gonna shit on this kid. Dude.
Oh, wow.
My
Hey,
daughter,
it's a challenge. You future Mrs. Rights, you hear them, training them young.
Crazy, crazy. But all right.
my daughter right now is only a year and 6 months, and trust me, she knows how to work 3DS, and she loves being on my lap when I play League of Legends.
Well, see,
She's a gamer.
I blame the rise in intellect of young kids on technology, but I also blame technology for the decline in intellect once they hit those teen years because they
Oh
become
yeah.
complacent and they get stuck on that. Like, for example, when I was a kid, if you needed to do a book report, you got your ass up early on a Saturday morning because the library was closed on Sundays and closed early on weekends, and you went and you read books up the yin yang and you did your report. Nowadays, I can sit there, oh, I'm going to wake up around 4 p.m. and do a little quick Google search, and within 20 minutes, I've got a 10-page essay done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But,
How would you?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, kind of leading into the same situation, especially just this is kind of out of the blue, out of the random, especially because we are all in our respective gamers and intellectuals and people that mess around with technology and whatnot. Is that something you're kind of going to push her forward into, or are you going to try to have her humble like we were and we didn't, the hard work we had to do to kind of get where we are now?
I mean, I'm always going to support my kids, and right now, my daughter, I believe, has a huge advantage because for a child that is only 1 year and 6 months, knowing sign language, already being able to speak to one another and asking for whatever she wants and tells us what she needs through sign language, that's a huge, big step forward.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So.
That is impressive. Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very impressive. So,
Actually,
now, just to move forward in tonight's podcast on the topic, obviously there's ups and downs to having a child, be it you're a single parent, a father or a mother, or in a full-on relationship with a husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. What I want to know is, let's start with the positive, but how does this affect your life in general, but in a positive way? Like, what I'm saying is, what are the perks of having a kid?
the honestly, the amount of joy you have, like having a kid for me personally has made my life so much happier. There's so much more fulfillment in my life just for having my beautiful children. And if I could go back and have to do it again, I would definitely put up with all the drama I had to deal with when it came to my ex.
Wow,
my
really?
beautiful children. Oh hell yeah, dude!
Wow.
That's
Like,
powerful. Wow.
like I don't hate it because hate off the word, but I really
Yeah, I don't. That's a very strong word. I'm sorry. Continue.
like really like fuck that shit. Like she's a bitch. Like, but but if I had to deal with it again, dude, I definitely would, dude. Because being a father, like, it just makes my life so much better.
Speech.
And I
What's your
guess,
thought on that? I'm sorry. We're having communication problems. I got a little bit of lag on the audio, but go ahead, Speech.
My bad. I guess where because I grew up with my father and I grew up with my mother, and I kind of have the opposite of what you guys had. I don't have a really good relationship with my mom, and I guess that affected me in some way too. And I understand, how my dad was there for me, and but I also understand a lot of the things that my dad had to give up. So kind of stemming from the same topic, me personally, I had a great relationship with my dad, and I'm kind of opposite of you guys, where I didn't really have a good relationship with my mother, and my mother disowned me for a little bit, and I was definitely the black sheep in the family, and things just didn't go out that the way that I wanted it to, and the way that she wanted it to, and the way my family wanted it to. My parents were divorced very, very early, and my dad was there. My dad had always been there, and he was, I was there for him. But I do understand some of the things that my dad had to give up, and some of the things that my dad really, really enjoyed that he could never do again because of the fact that me, my little brother, and my little sister were there. Kind of like traveling, going to Puerto Rico, being with his family. I mean, he doesn't see his family at all anymore, especially because he lives in Vegas now, and a lot of his family's in either Florida or New York or Puerto Rico. I guess where my question would be is, where is the, if any, not a downside, but the kind of give and take that you have to have from having a child?
I mean, when it comes to things I've given up, like the amount of freedom I had, like before you have a kid, you have all this freedom, you do whatever you want, and then as soon as you have your child, when you see that pregnancy test and there's two lines or it says pregnant, that's when you know you gotta slow it down and be serious. And there's a lot of parents out there that don't take parenting serious, like that just abandon children. Every day it happens, and for me, if it was a choice, giving up my video games, and I'm a huge gamer. I'm a huge gamer. If I had to, I
That's
would.
true.
And trust me, having a kid, I've given up 90% of my gaming time. I used to game from the morning from when I woke up because I had to go to work, and then when I got home, I continued gaming. Like, gaming was a huge part of my life, and now I cut down like 90% of my gaming just for my kids. Like,
And mind you, I personally went to school with the man. That's like you investing 12 years into college. And then your 11th year in, or you're planning to invest 12 years, your 11th year in, you switch majors and start over.
yeah.
That's
Really good.
kind of like the closest thing that I could relate to it.
I always think it's crazy. Like, I don't going to the competition playing with friends. We get competitive hosting LAN parties, playing video games all the time. I loved it. And
By the way,
now,
you gotta have me over, man. I haven't played Halo in forever. God fucking damn it.
well, yeah, definitely. We got different. Only when the kids are here, never with their mother. Kids always come through. Like I have friends that are like, hey Lisa, let's go out. I'm like, no, like today's daddy day. I'm not going out with you. My kids come first, and sometimes it does bum out my friends that I don't want to hang out because I'd rather take care of my kids rather than ask my mom to watch them. I mean, they're like, why don't you just ask your mom to watch your kids today? Because I don't want to. Like, it's my time. I'm blessed with the time with my children, and I'm gonna take advantage of it because eventually they'll get older. Like, Dad, stop hogging me. I need some space, and I don't want that. So I'm taking advantage. To spend time with my kids.
While they don't understand. Yeah.
Crazy. Well, we're kind of nearing the end, and I did have one final question. But I actually have two final questions. One I'm going to save for the very end. One I'm going to ask right now is with the stresses and pressures of being a single father and all the extra responsibility that you're pretty much put in a position to bear, what do you do to alleviate that? Like, how do you blow off stress, man? What do you have, like a big bag of weed, or like what do you do, man?
There's no drugs in that house. Mind you, I have fallen into drugs in the past, but trust me, the second my kids are born, cleaned up my life, and there's no drugs now, no drugs now. But the way I release my stress is my motorcycle.
Motorcycle, all right.
Oh yeah, Kawasaki Ninja, going down the highway. That's a stress reliever any single parent needs right there.
I guess, another on the fly question right there. Does it ever scare you that you may not come back?
Yeah, good question. Good question, Speech.
That's a really good question. And my mom tells me I need to stop riding. I need to stop riding so fast because it's a super sport. It's honestly hard to keep it under 20. And I've gone this. I maxed it out. It's 170 miles max speed, and I've done that several times. But when it comes to, I don't really think of the negatives. Yes, it has popped in mind. What if I don't come back today? And it would suck, but we can't keep ourselves sheltered and just be bottle fed. Like we still need to do whatever we want and take risks. Even though my risk is way more dangerous, it's still something that helps me release my stress in order to make my kids happy. Like being a single father is very stressful, and I'm just grateful I have my motorcycle to keep the stress down.
Nice. Speech, I was wondering, man, do you got any final thoughts and any more, off the wall questions before we come to the conclusion of this one?
Oh, and life insurance. Get a new phone.
And life insurance.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Hopefully the life insurance is giving your daughter and your I'm assuming you have one of each.
Yeah.
So, giving them a pretty penny just in case.
More than a penny, but yeah.
So I guess continuing with that, would you, um, when your kids are older, would you expose them to that kind of same thrill that you get? I mean, would you ever take them out on the motorcycle with you in a controlled environment? And I'm not talking about maxing out on the highway, but definitely showing them your side of how you deal with certain things.
Yes, definitely, 100 times yes, definitely. I've always wanted to ride a motorcycle too, and now my best friend Byron sold me his motorcycle, and that's the one I use. And thanks to him, I have this great joy. And my daughter, and when she first heard the motorcycle roar, when I gave it throttle and revving it, she got scared, it terrified her. But now she loves it. She'll sit on the bike when it's on neutral, so it's not moving, and she sat there and actually revved the engine when she loves it. And I do want to give her rides, but technically I have to wait until she's 12. So
All right.
the second she turns 12, she's gonna have a nice motorcycle, nice and safe. The final.
So, going into the final thoughts, and we I still got a few questions for you. I'm sure Speech has a couple things he is curious about knowing. But okay, we pretty much just got off the topic of you riding your motorcycle and the fear of whether you may or may not come back home to your kids. But what I want to know, given the fact that you have a daughter and a son, let's say 18, 20 years down the line, as a man, as a father, as a parent, what's your thoughts on your children dating?
Oh, good question.
I am a very overprotective father, and to be honest, I'm raising my kids very well. So if they want to start dating at the age of 16, of course, every father's like, hell no, fuck you. Who the fuck is this random punch and grandma? Do that bad boy 2 shit. Be at the door like, who the fuck is this?
Dirty.
Nigga, you ain't see that exactly. Yeah, that's how they're gonna feel. But to be honest, I'm raising my kids very well, and then I have a strong head and know what to do. So whenever they're ready and they tell me, I'm still gonna be against it. But the heart chooses what the heart chooses.
And I guess, one of my famous kind of off the wall questions here. Do you think it's going to be different with your daughter dating than your son dating? Especially because your son's going to start dating, I'm assuming, a little bit later because, they're a year and a half apart or just about. I don't know exactly how old your son is. But do you think just because you would already have gone through it, do you think you're going to be a little bit more lenient? Or if she kind of crosses the line and instead of taking an inch takes a mile, do you think you're going to be even tougher on yourself?
I believe I'm gonna have to go back right to the same thing. Like the way I'm raising my kids, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna want to do. But I hope the way I'm leading them is the correct path. So when it comes to dating, hopefully both of them are gonna choose whatever they want, and they're both gonna be treated well. And hopefully Abigail doesn't take advantage of it and then fuck Axel up. That'd be a safe move. Yeah.
Hey, Speech, you got any ball breakers? Because I got one in mind, man. It's steaming. I got a question. It's burning. You got anything, brother? Let me know because here it is. Final bout. Before we ask our
Question.
our final question, which is a positive one. It's a message-based one. But here's the nutcrackers. What you got, Speech?
So my biggest nutcracker that I am going to kind of throw at you, and I want you to kind of envision yourself in the future and understand the same joy that you had, the same joy I'm assuming your ex-fiance had at the time. When you first hold your grandbaby that either comes from your son or your daughter, what's going to run through your mind?
That's something I'm not sure what I'm gonna say. Well, I'm not even trying to even think about it. Like, of course, I'm gonna be too proud. So I was proud as a parent. I should be even more prouder when the time comes to being blessed with a grandchild. Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be a amount of joy. But what would I say to it? I'm like, I told you should have waited. Yeah.
Great.
It's
I love it. It's great. I love it.
That's it.
All right, Licio speech. Y'all ready for my ball breaker?
Go.
Oh, yeah.
My nutcracker?
Go.
Alicio, having one child of each sex, how would you feel if one or both, either or if one of your children turned out to be gay?
That's like that. Okay, I'm gonna ask you 100% complete truth. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Like, if my child, if my son is gay,
Answer right there,
I'm
folks.
supporting him. Like, I'm like, man, he's cute. That's one. You got nice taste, son. You got nice taste. When my daughter comes, I can say it when it comes to my girl. I'm like, she's 12. I'm not gonna compliment her. Good job. No, like, and like, I'm supporting them. If they're gay, I'm proud of it. Straight or not, whatever orientation they want to do a gender change. If that's what they feel, I'm supporting my kids 100%, no matter what.
That's a father, folks.
That's a father. That's a father. Now, speech. Now, here's a bit of a nutcracker for you. How would you feel if you were put in that scenario of being a father and having a gay child, be it male or female? I just want your input on that. What's your thoughts?
I guess I kind of have a little bit of a better insight just because, my mom cheated on my dad with a female. She's gay. I have a gay uncle and 2 gay aunts. And those are probably some of the closest people in my family, too. They've had their ups and downs just like straight couples do. But also, when my mother was being abused by that other female, it was hard as a child to defend my mom because I was always raised, not to harm a female. But just having that same insight and knowing that it doesn't really matter, if you're straight or you're gay, something's gonna fuck up anyway. I think it would be more on if they know themselves. I don't want it to be almost like, oh, you're now a hipster because everybody else is a hipster. If someday being gay is a fad and everybody wants to be gay, kind of like that metrosexual thing happened.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they're true to themselves, and if they are, that's 100%. I'm full for it.
Wow. That's real quick, John, I admire the fact that you put out your own personal information out there. Nobody has any right or obligation to know that, but the fact that you put that out there says that you know what you're talking about. You're not just some overly self-hype, over-opinionated person. No, you actually have members in your family that are gay, and you're speaking from that perspective.
Yeah, it's definitely coming from not only personal experiences and the different struggles that I saw them go through, but also the kind of good values that I learned from it. I mean, I was way more accepting than a lot of other people were. I mean, I might make certain jokes and me myself, I'm not that way, but I know it's not something that they're going to really be able to control. It's going to be something that's inside them. And just like something being a fighter is inside me, and I'm not going to try to say no to them, because when I was told no, it made me rebel. It made me do things I probably shouldn't have done. And I don't want them to go through that, and I don't want to be the cause of that. So it's definitely something I have to at least, give them the right and give them the respect that they deserve as human beings, even though they are my children, to know what the hell they want.
Wow. Powerful, powerful. And, well, we got it from Speech's mouth himself. That's how he feels about the matter. And I appreciate the honest input from both of you. So, before we ask the final question, I want to know, what is your nutcracker question for me? What do you want to know? And mind you, let it be related to this topic. I know we've covered a lot of areas about being a single father, and I myself am not a parent, but put in a scenario or the life that I live now, what are your guys' questions for me? I'm going to go on ahead and give it to our guest, Alicio, first, if you'd like to take the floor.
If you have a question for me, go ahead and shoot it at me, too.
Oh, yeah, by all means. By all means.
All right, so my first question goes out to the Mr. the Spartan himself. So, Jeff, What would you do if you became a father? What would your first interaction like? How would your life change? That's what I would want to know.
Wow, that is actually a good question, a very good question, because I'll put it like this. Currently, of course, not being a parent and being single currently, um, how do I put this? It's not that I'm a loose cannon, although I can be to some degree when I've been drinking. but but pretty much right now, it's not that I don't have a sense of responsibility or morals. It's more of a, you know what? Like John said earlier, I'm in my mid 20s. Man, I want to have fun right now, you know? To be honest, to keep it 100, I want to have as much fucking sex as I can. I want to drink as much booze as I can, smoke as much weed as I can, get into as many parties and clubs as I can before I have to give up that type of lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I feel that I'm young, and this is a time where I have to enjoy myself. Of course, there's still the fact that responsibilities come into play. Like, for one, I have goals of attaining several college degrees in different fields. I can't achieve all that if all I do is party. You know, um, I guess what I'm really saying is like, yeah, you know what? Right now, I'm gonna have my fun because I don't know what it's like to be in that situation of being a father. So I'm gonna push my limits, to be honest. Now, to answer your original question, the way things will change if I were to become a parent,
Yeah.
man, I'm up here, it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm pretty much, like I said earlier, gonna live my life for my kid. Just like you, Alicio, I didn't quite have my father in my life, you know? The very few memories I have of my father from when I was a child is him being super drunk and arguing with my mom. And one thing I respect about my father is he may have been, to a certain degree, for lack of a better term, a worthless drunk, but he wasn't an abusive drunk. He never put his hands on my mom. It was actually quite the opposite. She would beat that fool up in front of me, and he was too drunk to do anything about it and would just take it. But
Yeah,
he
we
was,
got the hand.
oh man, he got his ass kicked. Speech, dude, he got it handed to him. But it's like, given the fact that I really have a real father, somebody to be like, no, this is how you do this is how you don't do that, this is why. Yeah, man, like I would love to be that father that I never had, and that's why my life would change entirely because I don't want to be the reason for why my kid one day is out there an alcoholic or a fucking heroin addict because he saw daddy messing up, and that's the legacy he's got to live up to. For the longest time, that's how I felt. I felt like, you know what, my father and most of my family members' eyes was a worthless human being, a waste of a life, like he wasn't worthy. And so I felt for the longest time, you know what, that's my destiny. I'm a bastard child being raised by a woman who, God bless her soul, means well, but unfortunately is ignorant and unaware of the struggles that I go through in today's modern society. Coming from foreign land, where she was raised in a home made of plywood and aluminum fucking walls, aluminum foil walls, like literally, these motherfuckers would like drape, they'd set up a base made with plywood and then drape it with aluminum foil and shit so the rain wouldn't seep in. It's just, it baffles me. Like somebody that came from literally nothing to our supposed land of the free, home of the brave, and the place where you can achieve anything, the American dream. That's what she was in search of. And she got on her hustle. She came to the States, and when I was born, I was surrounded by all this, without having my father to lay out the proper structure. I grew up to be this pampered little brat, and I admit this, it's something that I psychologically understand within myself now, is I felt entitled that, you know what? You're dirt. You came from out of, from a foreign land. I was born here in the States, so I'm entitled to this and that. And it like really messed me up psychologically, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm advancing a little too much on this, dude. I can go on this one forever when it comes to pops. So I'm gonna pass this down. If you guys want it, by the way, this is something I would love to speak further on. So maybe we can speak on this. If this has touched anyone close that has dealt with, parent issues like that, please let us know. This is something I plan on expanding on, and something that I
Yeah,
want to speak on personally. So, in a sense, I'll be my own guest. I don't know. Fuck it.
we can definitely do a follow up on this video.
Yeah, we'll do a follow up. But speech, the floor is yours. What is your nutcracker question, man?
No, I don't have an. It's not my turn. I thought he might have one for me. It was his nutcracker question.
Oh, did I mess up the order on that one?
Yeah,
Yes.
you
Okay, well, we'll go ahead, Alicia. The floor is yours, brother. I'm sorry.
did. Let's see. My question for Mr. Jonathan over here.
Hmm.
Fuck, I don't even have one.
Well, you know what? I have one.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Now, it is not to put out people's businesses or disrespect, but let's just say my boy John, he's not shy of the dating scene. More like the fucking scene. So, John,
What's that?
what if you tomorrow morning got a letter in the mail claiming you have 4 children that you now must pay child support for?
Damn.
You have 4 children you must pay child support for. Now, this is going to be a series of mini questions. Before I ask my first question, I want your initial thought when I ask this question. What the fuck ran through your head?
So, first off, 4. Damn, that's the first thing I'm a fertile motherfucker. I guess my second thought really was, it wasn't even so much as are they mine, more as am I a better fit than she is or they are. I mean, it's very. I mean, obviously, I'm not. I'm not a super rich person, but I try. And it definitely, I've always wanted a kid. I mean, I look at kids sometimes. Children, especially other people's children, kind of get to me sometimes, and they're annoying and whatnot. But I always look at kids, and I'm like, I can't wait until there's a little me running around. And I guess that doesn't really matter if it's 4 little me's or 1 little me or 3 little me's. I would want to be there and try to at least make it work with the mother. And especially, I mean, if it's 4 different mothers, I guess go from there. But I would definitely want my kids. It's not a child sport. It's that I would probably pack my stuff, move back to Vegas, and figure it out from there to how to get my kids.
Wow, that's, respect, man, because you put your kids ahead of everything. And mind you, you're a guy who had, and I mean no disrespect by this, but you kind of had nothing going for you here in Vegas because at the time it was just a shit economy,
Oh yeah.
It really all boils down to that. There was a shit economy. You even put that offer on the table for me. I was just kind of too much of a little cunt bag. I'll have to edit that. But I was too much of a little scaredy cat to move out with you to Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, you left because there was nothing here, And for you to automatically pack everything and come right back for those kids' lives or for those kids' sake, it says a lot. And, it's respectable.
Yeah, no, definitely without an issue. I would. I do have obligations up here, and it's definitely. I have people up here that I care about a lot, and it's definitely something that's kind of surreal just to think about having 4 kids out there that I don't know are mine. But if they're mine and that's the situation, my family out here that I have, they're gonna have to understand that I have to go take care of what's mine.
Right.
Whether it's doing what I used to do in Vegas to finding a legit job or shit washing windows, however I have to do it, I have to figure it out. That's kind of what we always base our motto on is, we'll figure it out.
Word. Well, just to wrap things up, my final question before we go into final thoughts is what advice do you have for other single fathers out there? Given the fact that you've spoken out of experience, what would you advise? And I'm not just saying a single father of your age in that exact same situation, but let's say let's say if we had somebody call up and be like, hey, I'm like 16 years old, my girlfriend's pregnant and she's keeping it. In that kind of scenario, what advice do you have for future young fathers?
Definitely. Good question.
Well, the first thing I would say is kind of buckle up, because you're about to go on a ride that is going to be uncontrollable. Because because first you have to start dealing with your girlfriend that's got pregnant, the whole 9 months of hormones, which sucks, completely sucks. There's no way around it. Like, oh, I love you. What the fuck? I didn't want peanut butter on you. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Where's my Oreos? Like, hormones, they're terrible. They are terrible. But basically, like, you need to man up. And yeah, like if you're 16, you're about to have a kid. You know, it's your fault. Man up about it, and don't take it like, oh, I'm fucked and that's over. Take it as a blessing. You know, just because you're having a kid at a young age, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I mean, God chooses, and if you believe it or not, I'm not much of a believer, but that's the best way to put it. God chose that you're gonna have to get a kid now, and so it's time to man up and give it your all.
Respect, respect,
Yeah.
respect. Speech. What are your final thoughts, brother?
Especially touching on that, you know, um, again, not really having a mom, that was there. I mean, my mom did the best she could. My mom wasn't the most emotionally stable. She was kind of like pregnant hormones throughout her entire life. And I love her. She's my mother. We have our differences, but my dad was always there. And my dad had me when he was, my mom was 18 when she had me. And my dad was, I think he was like 21, 22, something like that. He was kind of your age, our age. And, the effect that my dad had on my life and how strong I became and, different things like that. I would, wish that any person that has any doubts of I guess parenthood or even though I don't know anything about it, definitely try to strive to be somebody like that, somebody that how my dad had a really good strong impact on my life. Try to make sure that you cherish those moments that you have because you might not always be there, or God forbid, they might not always be there.
Wow, that's very strong. Strong message. And I respect that. I appreciate you both being on this. Thank you, John, for being my partner, and I appreciate you, Alicio, as being our guest tonight. Real quick,
Anytime.
guys. Real quick, my final thoughts on the matter, and I'll keep this short and sweet, is if you're a single parent, whatever sex it is, if you're a single mother, single father, what I've gotten from all this is it's great to dedicate your life to your child. That is very respectable and an admirable thing to do. But remember to make time for yourself because speaking out of experience, my mother pretty much in a sense gave me the world, gave me everything as a child. And now that I'm older, I realize that in the end, I robbed her of a lot because she gave up dating to dedicate her time to me. She would rarely buy herself any so much as a nice dress because I wanted these nice little glow in the dark shoes or whatever it was, or I wanted a new skateboard for my birthday or whatever. She never really she worked her butt off, but she never really enjoyed her income, because it all went to me. So, kind of tying into a question that I got from my buddy earlier, Alicio, is if I were to be a parent, the way my life would change is I'd have to realize that, what, I have this amount of income. The majority of that will go to my child, but I still need time for me. So, my final thoughts are pretty much have balance. If you're in that situation, find a
There you go.
balance. Balance. Now, this has been a great podcast. Went a little longer than I expected, but I feel like we touched up on a lot of great points. And this is one that we're not just gonna, you know, code, post, and it's over with. No, this is something I want to touch up in the future. So if I have anyone else out there watching this that is a single parent themselves and would like to come on and speak, by all means, feel free. At the end, I'm going to post links to the Facebook accounts and the YouTube account that I'll be posting this on. And please, guys, let us know what you guys thought. I'd love to have future guests on to expand on this topic because it's something that hits home. Being a single child myself, being raised by a single parent. So,
And
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, speech.
and definitely for you viewers on Facebook and things like that, post your feedbacks. We would, if you have any stories like ours. I mean, we kind of range from a bunch of different things from a bunch of different places. If anything touched you, let us know. Let us know that we're doing this right, and we'll continue with these kind of situations because this is definitely something that our generation needs to realize and need to understand, and we need to get these topics out there because if not, we're going to be old and we're just going to resent everything. So just let us know.
Word, respectable. And Alicio, I know you run your own little personal live vlog type deals. If you want to give yourself a little shout out or kind of promote yourself, here's the time, my brother. Let us know where we can follow you at.
Follow me at Twitter at fulltime_dad. And I also have my own Twitch where I talk about random topics at twitch.tv/MLG Elicio.
Awesome. And if you guys, for whatever reason, didn't catch any of that or anything, all links will be posted after this video. So guys, check out Alicio, man. A great guy, awesome person, wonderful father. I got my partner Speech over here, an intellectually gifted individual, very smart motherfucker, adds a lot of intellectually based points to the things we talk about here on the podcast.
Appreciate you.
Much love, brother. Much love.
Anytime, my friends. Anytime.
All right, guys. This is Jeff the Mission Rojas signing off. Everybody have a good night. Thank you. We love you. And stay positive.
Stay up, baby.